Here we go. And of course, I forgot to put the music on. There we go. Well, that's a lot louder on your guys' end than it is on mine. Hold on. There we go. That's a better spot. Okay, so this is mostly for the purposes of video for later on and for people that are in any of my games as opposed to general stream. So here's what's happening. Good news, bad news, okay news. So, good news is, it appears that yours truly has found a way to, well, stream on Saturdays again with the games for everybody. So that means that Steal the Past will be back live, and then it also means that the side game, the Crimson Caves, will be able to be streamed, assuming I don't run into any technical problems along the way. But so far, it seems to be working just fine. Now, we have, through my travels, I have discovered a few things. One, that there are obviously alternatives to Roll20. Roll20 is just one of the best ones out there that is also free and has very little hassle. It's also one of the first ones that got into the market, so it had, it's also had the thing of familiarity, and it did a lot of good things right. However, there are a few things that I don't like about Roll20, and the main one is that it eats a lot of your memory, and then it also slows down, and because of its popularity, it also runs into stability problems, especially on weekends, especially as the night goes on. It also doesn't have two other things, which is, in particular, any good and or useful mobile device play. So it's bad on phones, it's bad on tablets. Enter Owlbear Rodeo. This is much less labor intensive because it requires significantly less out of your computer because it doesn't do a bunch of stuff inherently. However, it does a couple of things really, really well. It does maps extremely well. It does tokens extremely well. It also allows you to add things that are mounts as well, so you can set things up to be able to move stuff around and attach tokens together very, very easily. Very big, nice thing for when you want to have somebody carried, whenever you want to have set up something like a horse as a mount or whatever have you, and you can easily just unsnap stuff and just remove things super easy. It's a lot of very simple, easy stuff that's very good. Now, the big thing, of course, is that it's also labor low on the PC. It runs right off your browser, and there's no account signing up. There's no, I am listening good. There's no accounts that need to be you need to sign up for. There's no storage capacity problems. There's none of these things. The capacity is basically as long as you have it on your computer, you can put it in your browser. So there's very few limitations that have been a small problem here and there that are actually still here. There are some limitations that are going to be brought about that I have to address, however. So, first, there is no character sheets. There's nothing like that in Owlbear Rodeo. The closest thing you have is a token, which you can put rings on, kind of like the various like soda pop rings and things like that, so you can add indicators to tokens, which is nice. There's no icons that you can add for like various statuses, such as poison or anything like that. Now, it's easy to do things like prone, where you can just like tilt the token, but having something like a curse or being blinded or anything like that It unfortunately is going to require people to either A, remember what rings do, or B, they are going to have to just take good notes. Now, I always take notes of what is happening to people anyways, even when I was putting icons on, so this isn't going to be any different for me. It might be a little different for players. This is where we get a little bit more out of the luxuries, I would say, of what Roll20 has provided, and back to the classic pen and paper. This is, simply put, a battle mat. It is nothing more than that. It is simply that. So this means that I'm not feeling this kind of track right now. No, that's a little too upbeat. That's a little better. So when it comes to what it does for us, there's two things that matter here. One thing that's really nice is that you don't have to worry about moving the map around, at least on my end, even though it says you're only moving the camera. There's another thing that I really like that this does that Roll20 doesn't do, and that is it has a pointer that is viewable to everyone at all times. It does the same thing on the other side of this, which for whatever reason I no longer have internet on the tablet. Not sure why that is. That might be why I was disconnected. But big thing is that it connects with tablets, it connects with phones. So if you need to get up and or you're on the road, in the passenger seat, mind you, and not driving, but it works quite well on tablets, just fine. Now, the big thing, of course, to keep in mind is while I can move all this stuff around on the tablet just fine, no problems, the big thing it has is that it has the laser pointer. Now, I'm doing it from tablet so you can see the syncing from it. And that allows you to just point at stuff at any given time. Not have to worry about it on anything. It's syncing a little bit. The tablet's a little bit slow on my end, so it's not syncing the greatest, but specifically with that. But that's mostly on the tablet side. And that's a pretty old and clunky tablet, so, and it's running pretty okay. So there's two things that we need to address with this, and that is sheets and dice. Well, let's start with the sheets. So, actually, let's start with dice. So the big thing that you can do in this is there is a dice roller. Problem is that it is actually just a die roller, and it doesn't allow you to add modifiers or anything of the sort. Now you can just roll a die into a bolt. Now it's lagging a little bit because I'm streaming right now. Oh, what do you know? Roll a 20. And that's where the extra device comes in handy for me specifically, because I can just roll just fine. I personally do not like actual physics engine dice rollers, personally. But one thing that is nice is that I don't have to worry about that if other people do, because they can roll these dice to their heart's content on their side and not be bothered by it. Now, the other thing that's really nice and sweet is I can open the die roller on the tablet, and as long as it's broadcasting, I can just roll the die on my side from the tablet. And which I just rolled a 1 on, and it should be broadcasting to the, here it is, and now it's broadcasting. Now, normally it broadcasts faster than that. I was broadcasting faster than it is currently from my phone. I guess this tablet's just too old for that. So it might not be the best option to do it from there. And I can see what's being done here. Now, the problem with this is that it's really small. And it's a little bit hard to see. And it does one other thing not so great and that is it doesn't add modifiers inherently. So that's where that problem ultimately comes from, where we have to make a decision of, do we want to do this and have people do math and then announce results, which most of the time people announce results anyways. Alternatively, we can always go back to another option, which is we can bring in, I don't know why it closed everything. That's weird. We can do another thing, which is we can bring in Discord. Yeah, oh no, math. Yeah, really. It's so hard. The other alternative is that we can use Avery. Because we can always just do Avery, and then you can put in, all your additions. And it'll do it all for you. And it shows you it shows you all the results. Now, again, not really a big deal. But it always comes back to another thing on my end when it comes to streaming. Now, I think this is a little bit better because this is going to be a little bit, it's equally noticeable. And but the thing that matters here is that it shows the results and it shows them in a timely manner. And this is something that I can make sure that everyone has access to and can use it no problem. This is not a massive issue. It does mean, however, that it causes one other problem, specifically to my games. And that is it removes Reaper and Sono from chats inherently. This also doesn't have a chat because neither of them use microphones. Neither of them are able to use microphones. So this creates a different kind of problem, specifically when using Discord. Now, we can always just have it in a same room. That's not too big of a deal, but that is something that everyone needs to remember, is that the dice rolling section is also the same as characters that are talking. Again, not inherently a problem, but something to be aware of and to consider. Now, the die roller is not, they're all coming out of hiding, are they? Good. No, but it's good though, because it means that they have to run and hide. They have to run and go and find stuff, and they're failing. So, next on the list is sheets. Now, there is about as many ways to keep track of information for characters as there are writing programs that exist. Now, I'm trying to find a spot that I can put that so that people can just pour them in and have them just universally accessible in some way. I have been unsuccessful in the last day and a half trying to find something like that. I am sure that there is absolutely no doubt that there is something that would work very, very well that I probably haven't found. But I want to avoid stuff that forces people to sign up for new things, because I don't like forcing people to do that. I know it's not a big deal, like 80 to 90% of the time, but it's just one of those things I don't like doing. That being said, there are basically 3 ways that I have come up with that work really, really well for character sheets, and each of them are probably going to be different for different people as to how you want to track it. By the way, this means everyone has to track their own character sheet. So gone are the days where I'm going to be able to just do everything for you. Which, to be fair, back when you sat at a table, you had to do it all yourself anyways. And it was better if you did, honestly. So this means that we have to do one of the following. And that is... I'm fine with that. Most people are. That's the thing, Nano. Most people are okay with that. The problem comes back to something which is a philosophy that I'm trying to do. A philosophy behind the idea of what it is I'm trying to do. And that is I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for as many people as possible to play the game. And I'm more than happy to take a burden on myself to do that. This means that people need to be a little bit more aware of what's going on, and I think that might be healthy and good over time, but I don't like doing it to brand new players off the hop. Now, everybody that has been in my first 2 campaigns, I expect them to be able to do this no problem. They're all basically considered experienced players at this point. I think the least experienced players at the time when we started was you, Shadow, and Ramp. And because Darth had played like 1 session or 2 sessions in a game at some point before that. Sono was experienced. And yeah, everybody else had played the game before. And all 3 or 4 of you, like, I expect you guys to be perfectly capable of doing anything I need you guys to do, like, bookwork wise. So, you know, it's one of those things, like, I don't expect it out of the gate, I expect it later. But it being out of the gate may not be a bad thing in some cases. So, things that are really, really useful for character sheet tracking. And this is going to be useful for pretty much everybody. And I'm going to post this as a, like, thing for people to watch on the Discord to try and get it going. All right, first things first, Mythweavers. Mythweavers is great. First off, if you like play-by-post. Play-by-post is actually it's actually pretty interesting. I did a couple of things on here, short term, just so that I could get an idea of what play-by-post is like. It's definitely not for everyone, but it's definitely interesting. Basically, it's, you know, it's slower style games, but if you don't have a lot of time on your hands, it's a good way to get into a game and still be able to, like, scratch that itch a little bit. I'm not feeling this track. What it does do very well, it has a lot of different character sheets, but you can get lots of different character sheets in here. So the problem is, of course, is that the character sheet is really, really bland. And it can be a little bit... Oh, excuse me. It can be really, like, daunting to try and fill out this, because it's really, like, it's not a fun thing to fill out. But because it's very boring to look at, but it's really, really good for me because I like blank and boring, and I use this for a lot, or I should say I used it a lot when I was playing with, you know, my guys a lot. Now, again, it's a little bit boring, right? Like, but it has all the fields, it has all the things that you need. The only thing it doesn't have on here, I think it's in the settings. No, it's not. It doesn't have the spell casting page. And I don't understand why, for the life of me, it doesn't have that on here. But I guess it, for whatever reason, it doesn't. Now, it's not a huge deal. Oh, you can just click the caster, and then it slaps it in at the bottom here, in this section here. So it does have everything you need, and this is like for the prepared thing. So, not the most alluring thing. There's, of course, the other thing, which is the 5e character sheet that is form fillable. This is the actual character sheet that would get if you were playing at a table, where if you copied it from the book. And this has all the same stuff. It's a little bit more appealing to the eye. Of course, you can always find a million different versions of these things. There is also the there's a 5e single page character sheet that you can get. That would also do it, but I personally like this one that's form fillable, because then it's like you can type in these areas and it'll put it in like the size that you need it. You know, like even though it's tiny here, it still is a 20. Now, I don't use either of these much anymore. I don't even like using Mythweavers much anymore, except for specifically on Mythweavers, because I will just use OneNote. OneNote, and anybody can use OneNote. Anybody can just use Notepad. Anybody can just use any kind of Word-based document. You can make it on your Google Drive. Everybody has a Google Drive because everybody has a Gmail account. So, and you can just do it this way. So this is how I set up my the sheets for the characters. I don't have all of his all of his stuff written down on here, but he's a second level bard. I can easily find out everything. I have all my notes on Roll20 for his stuff right now specifically, so it's whatever. Specifically for something like inventory, I expect people to just take care of their own inventory anyways. For world characters, it's a little bit different because they're a little bit less interacted with, and I try to keep track of their gold a little bit more. But that aside, this is all you really need to be able to have on hand for whether or not, because it really comes down to a lot of time whether or not, at least on my end, what I need, because I know what skills are attached to what ability modifier. So like if you tell me it's like, hey, I need history, it's like, okay, I know it's intelligence based. Are you proficient? No? Okay. Then I know it's going to be a 0 because my intelligence is a 0, right? Like I just know these things. It's going to be different for different people, but this is honestly the best thing that I've ever done, is just writing it down in plain simple note to note, black and white. Filling out fields and things like that has always slowed me down when I can just type it all down. As long as I know where to access everything, it works just fine, at least in my personal experience. It might be different for other people. So this is what I have come to just start doing, and this is how I write out my NPCs. This is how I write out my own character sheets for my actual characters in any games that I actually do anymore. And you know, you're gonna need to have this on hand for either method of rolling dice. I think I'm gonna go with the Discord method because I think it's a little bit more reliable, because then people can put in exactly what they want and it does all the math for them, so you get the end result quicker. And I think that's going to be pretty much the end all be all. So the big things at the end of this to, you know, keep track of is what is happening. Okay, no. The thing at the end of the day that we need to keep track of is the fact that Owlbear is a table and needs to be treated as such. Actually, no, that's a better way. It's a battle mat. And that has to be, is it one word? No, it's definitely not one word. And that's like just all that it is. It's battle mat. It's a battle mat with tokens on it. And that's all it will be. Now something that is nice is that everybody has access to all tokens. So like, for example, I can, even though there's no DM status in here, there is the host status, which does let me change maps around, but that's it. Anybody can actually change the maps, but you're in a room and that's it. So anybody can put a map down, anybody can drag tokens on, anybody can do anything on here. The person that chooses the map can choose what permissions other people have. But for the most part, that's not a big problem in my experience. Because as long as people aren't touching each other's tokens, which usually that people don't, and if they do, and if someone does touch somebody else's stuff, oftentimes they just say, hey, can you please not touch my stuff? And then nobody ever does it again. So, at least in most cases. There are cases where people are just super disrespectful, and then they just need to be taught a lesson at that point, but preferably without violence. But for the most part, I think that this is what we're going to be resorting to. Combine this with the good old, talking head bubbles on the side, talking head portraits on the side here, and replace my face with the Discord. Violence is always the answer. It is always an answer. I think we're going to be overall in a better spot. I don't foresee a problem with this is a little bit too no, I don't want this track. Overall, it will complicate things a little bit, primarily on the player side, which is the only thing I kind of fear. But otherwise, we're set up in a pretty good spot. I will be able to do this glorious side of things, which is, let me see if I can move it to the right thing here. Yeah, this, which I will be able to make it nice and easy to see for everyone. Obviously, I'm gonna have to adjust things like the chat window and all that, but the big thing that is, of course, great here is, well, I'm gonna just do this. I think it's set up. I think my my screen is set up wrong here. Might actually have to fix that. Or maybe not. Maybe me having the two things on the side here will benefit me in the end. Who knows? But specifically for alignments setups, it's gonna have to be things. But yeah, it'll be nice and clean, and it's not gonna have a bunch of it's not gonna have 35 different things I have to worry about, unlike a Roll20 chat. So that's good. And I don't think I'm actually losing too much right now. I have a ton of stuff open this is trying to track that it doesn't need to track right now. Which is... I think bogging this down a little bit. Why is it demanding so much resources now? That's weird. In any case, I think one of the big things that I found is that my camera actually takes a lot of resources out of my processor when I'm running it, but I know the character, I know the class. Yeah, and honestly, I think that most people will be okay, because most people only have to worry about one sheet of things, and that's it. I do have my concerns about people that are new to the game, but honestly, I mean, everybody I talk to that has learned to play this game hasn't had too much trouble learning, and I expect, people to be messing up and not knowing where to look and all kinds of stuff afterwards anyways. Inside of Roll20 anyways, they have to try and learn how their character sheet works. So this is not really going to be that different, I don't think. It's mostly with my main concerns is whether or not it's going to be too many things to try and manage on the player side. But that's just that's just an always thing with me. I don't think that's ever gonna go away. So overall, and the other thing is, like, I am running into a little bit of latency here and there, but this is also this is also a very large map. This is a 84 by 80 map. So while I would like to be able to do like entire cities on a single map, I don't think that's gonna happen so long as I have a PC that is not in the greatest of shape to do so. But this does mean I'll be able to do district size maps and not have to worry about it too much. So it's not like I have to worry about things happening super fast in 90% of cases. It's moving reasonably with the camera running and a couple other things running in the background, and that'd be the exact opposite the case anyways. So I'm gonna look back at this and see if there's any problems that arise, and I don't think there will be any. So I think overall, there is little cause for concern. I think we're going to resort to Discord for rolling. One of the other benefits of Avery is you can actually sync up character sheets with it. I have no idea how to do that, and I don't want to try and figure it out. There are other things. The other big problem for me, that it's not really a problem, but it's a thing of flavor that won't be here anymore, is there will not be any more health bars on the monsters or the character tokens, which means that people will be asking what kind of condition people are in and things of that nature. Owlbear Rodeo is coming up with a second version. I haven't looked quite into what exactly that entails yet. But yeah, joining, I think overall, there is in truth not a lot that I need to worry about, but this is also meant primarily as a testing grounds for myself to see if I can get this to work correctly. And I think it's working just fine. I don't see any major issues or problems arising. And I'm actually just gonna set up my overlay right now on the secondary screen here. So we're gonna actually just deactivate this. We're gonna go to, I need to rename this. So we're gonna maximize this. It's just a little slower now that this is specifically being captured. What if I go back to desktop? Does it become easier? That's about the same. Okay. Right. Alright, so we have the main input, we have the mic input. What's this? Alright, we don't need... Alright, we don't need this. Yes, we don't need that. Alright, this is the table. We're gonna fix you. Transform. Reset transformation. There we go. Okay. On cam, no. What's that? What's up? Hey, what did you say? I heard you say something. What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. What? Oh, I see him. Yeah, I'll get him. All right, there we go. All right, I'm back. Is Asteria's name named Paul Furry? Yes, you can thank the end joke for that one. All right. So let's see here. So we have these three things solved. Okay, dice capture. So dice capture can just be removed. We don't need that anymore. All right, so that's the background. That's the background for the chat. So that's fine. That can stay there. And then there's the chat itself, which can also stay there. All right. There's now the alert box. The alert box is fine right there also. We still call them a furry, huh? Great. I mean, that's basically a joke that just doesn't go away. You can thank Vigil for that one. I'm not entirely unhappy about it, not gonna lie. Alright. So this... Yes, we can get rid of the Discord piece, and then Discord chat we can also get rid of. It is Vigil. Exactly. Alright, so this is probably running... Okay, so this is running a little better now. It is a little bit choppy on my end, especially with the trying to snap. Now, there's one more way I could try to do this. And that is just get rid of the super size everything. And give it a second to load. Now, if I go, let's try a different map here. Let's go to stone here. and maybe it'll work a little better. Then give it a second to load up and get all caught up. And then, all right, so it works a little bit better. So it's mostly the map size that's the problem here. And it's trying to track too many things at once. And as always, it's not really that big of a deal if it's a little bit. Overall, I think it's okay. Now, I'm going to do something else here, which is I'm going to try going back to the desktop and doing that. Does it run better? It's hard to tell. It is running better. So when it does a window capture on the other one, it actually lags it out a little bit. This is actually operating significantly better on my end. So for some reason, when it's capturing the window itself, it slows down. I don't know why this is, but that's the case. So we're just going to add display capture. And we're just going to transform it. It's green. And bring it right down here. That's pretty good. That's already operating better. I should actually just do this. There we go. And then specifically for Discord, we add, I guess it is a window capture for Discord. Nope. Is it browser? Nope. Where do I find it? I guess it's a window capture. Yep. Okay. And then we're just gonna do this. It's hard to see what I'm doing on a side screen here. Where is full screen preview? There we go. It's a little bit easier for me to see what I'm doing here. Not bad looking. Oh, it's a little blurred out, I see. It's not bad. does work. And then we just F11 this. And I just have to make a mental note of when it gets cut off, which is right here, which isn't bad. I might shift it a little bit thinner. Like make it a little bit wider, but make it so that I can actually make this a little bit bigger. Discord, alert box, restream, plane. So we're just gonna move the chat and this over here, and just slap the alert box in here for now. All right, we're gonna make this a little bit more narrow. And do that. And then make it just slightly wider. Does that look good? Like, is that large enough to be able to see effectively? That's not bad. Maybe a little wider. You're on the phone. I'm trying to preview it on my side screen. It's a little bit hard to tell. On the main screen, how does that look? Oh yeah, that's definitely readable. I might actually be able to get away with it being slightly thinner. Alright, that might be fine. Which point this needs to be... We're gonna shrink this down a little bit. There we go. Alright, and I need this to be... right there. Actually, well, what I really need is this. To fit there, and then this can go in the correct spot, and then it fits quite nicely. So that actually looks okay. Of course, that means that we're still missing. Ooh, that just started slowing right down. Now, why is that slowing right down? What is happening to slow right down? Is it because it's trying to capture Discord? Yeah, if capture Discord causes it to slow right down. Interesting. So as soon as I turn the Discord back on, it slows it right down, it looks like. Now, I don't know why that is. Oof. Also means I can't be changing stuff on my Discord. That's not good. That's slowed. That's struggling. Now it's starting to face problems now. So I think the solution will be have to be rolling on the separate page, which it does a pretty good job of rolling and setting things up just fine. It takes a second on my tablet, but that's just because it's my tablet. Because as soon as I take away the Discord tracking, I think because it's a window that it's trying to track, it messes with it very greatly. Now, I could do something like this, I suppose. Because it is a desktop display. This is gonna be really silly. Or I could do something like that, but that just looks kind of bad. And I can't say on any side here. So, as much as I dislike doing it that way, that just eats too much of my memory to be able to do that. Because for whatever reason, it just really just doesn't like dealing with Discord. Which is very strange. I'm not sure why it has that issue. Maybe because Pretzel is open as well. Oh, yeah. There we go. That should realign it. Or maybe not. Well, this more or less works. It's just the only problem is this is a little bit on the slow side. Now, if I do it via, let's do a little bit more experimentation here. If it wants to load to my tablet side, apparently not. But you know, that's fine. Maybe if I refresh it'll clear its cache. It seems to be doing okay. does take a second to load up on my... Oh, it's not too bad now it's loaded in. Moving stuff on the camera view side on this end is a little bit janky. Oh, it's fine now. I guess I just needed a second to try and load everything. Maybe it's because this was lagging out, it was making it difficult. But it seems to be fine now, so it only spikes up every once in a while. Which is not that big of a deal, especially if I preload everything. Okay. And then, of course, we just have the portraits on this side, which would cover this area here. This is only covering about to here, which is, I wouldn't be utilizing this space too much anyways. Because it's only, oops, not display capture. It's only blocking about that much space, which I wouldn't use normally anyways. So that's fine. Yeah. Robot, yeah. I'm not surprised by that. Hopefully it fixes itself. That was something that was always a problem with this PC anyways. I think me turning on and off a bunch of stuff messed with my processor. Yeah, it had to load back up the fact that I was running everything off of a Discord or off of my thing. So one thing that is nice is I can just move it on the tablet, and it could take a second for it to do that. I can do everything on here just fine, and it moves around on stream just peachy, honestly. So I plan to do the tablet or my phone as the DM side anyways, so that I can like mess with the fog and all that in a better way, because the player side needs to be, you know, mostly viewable, with the exception of the map picking. But the map picking is going to be, I mean, they're all going to be loaded up into, well, I can't access them from this side, so I'd have to load them up into the tablet first, or just load them from the player view side, which is, again, not ideal, but not impossible, because then you guys can see all these things. So there is that. I think I'll have to load them into my phone or my tablet and then import them in that way. That way I can set them up and be well. I wonder, this is a little bit dangerous, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Can't really see what I'm doing on off camera here, but I'm seeing if this is gonna crash the stream. People need me. That's fine. Have a good night. And we're gonna see if this crashes everything or not. It appears to be struggling to load. Now, it doesn't appear to be having problems running. Ooh, that's a little bit ugly. Let's see here. Alright, that's not too bad. Now, big question. If I do it from this side, yeah. Now, it slows it right down if I do it on this side. Now it's just like, it's stuttering. If I try to move stuff from here, but if I move it from the pad, it's not as bad. So, that's definitely not ideal. That's okay. That's okay. So I'll just be doing it from pad side most of the time. So I'll have to load things up and then onto the tablet and then be able to move them over that way, which is honestly not that big of a deal. I guess I could always just do it from this side anyways and just do that. But it's not as smooth looking. And it doesn't allow for the player for the full player experience on the opposite side, because I mean, I guess I can. It doesn't allow me on this side because I set it up that way, but if I change the settings on this, like if I go back to one of the other maps, it's going to load up correctly, which I guess it'll have to do that regardless, because that's just one of those things that I think is going to happen, is I just have to worry about loading times no matter what. But it's definitely going to take longer on the PC side because it's already almost basically loaded on my tablet side. And this is a very large map. It's probably a larger map than I'll probably typically do again. At least while still using this PC. Yeah, it's still loading. A 50, like the last map was a 25 by 25, and it didn't take too much to load. This is probably twice the size of anything that I will probably put in from here forward. I can still move characters around and everything without any issue on this end. And once it's loaded in, it doesn't seem to have a problem. Yeah. And it's a very large map, so it should be okay from here forward. It's also like very large file size. I'll be adjusting significantly from here forward for that. But like this is a little bit choppy. I think I can adjust something here. which might help a lot now that I think about it. We're gonna go into edit because we can adjust quality. We go to medium. Oh, that's way too big. Or way small. Let's go to high. It should be like, yeah, like that's reasonable. So we save it at like, that's half the size of, so like if we just go high quality instead of like original, things blur a little bit on this map, but it's loading in much easier. I see very little change on the end of like of the tablet, and it's actually running smoother. Now, I think my PC is still loading. But yeah, it's still loading it, but once I think it's not too bad. It's not too big of a deal if things aren't sliding around perfectly, honestly, in my opinion. As long as things stop where they're supposed to. It's really more I don't want to be moving stuff around too much on this screen. I can move. I don't mind moving tokens where they kind of need to be. It seems to be working just fine. So, I'm actually pretty content with the results. The only thing that kind of sucks is really that I don't have a good way of rolling dice without just kind of eating my resources. If I could get it to not have to read the Discord, as soon as I remove that, everything just starts working better. So I think we're gonna have to, I think in the interest of viewability, I think we're gonna have to have the dice results being played off to the side here. The tablet has a lot of problems rolling dice, which is mildly unfortunate. But I mean, but I can always just roll in here, I suppose. But I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of this physics engine. Maybe if I do it by... My phone seems to not have too much trouble rolling it. Other people don't seem to have problems rolling it. I personally don't really want to do it because then... Yeah. But then again, Pretzel also running, and that might be eating some resources as well. You know, we're going to actually just shut down Pretzel. That's going to kill the music, I know, but there'll be different stuff going with the music later. And that did free up a little bit, actually. Add the Discord back. And like it's 3 years to load back in correctly. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. It's not bad, honestly, without Pretzel playing. It's actually pretty good without Pretzel playing. Except for when I try to move stuff on this side. So, it's not terrible. And then this is all that's going to be running, with the exception of this, which I will have to make sure I'm doing on my separate screen in order to ensure that it's not being noticed. It does come with its own drawbacks in that case, I guess. Can I not? Oh my gosh. Can I not shrink this down widthwise? No, I can't. And that's not nearly wide enough for that. Not for my notes. That's not nearly wide enough for my notes. That does create one more problem. Huh. Well, it's not the worst problem in the world. And again, I can always just move things around a little bit. It'd be cooperating for the most part on a really large map. If I go to stone, which is 22 by 22, let it all load up. I can drag things around pretty easily, and it stays pretty nice and neat. So I think it'll just be me making maps of proper size and whatnot. I'm actually gonna do something here, which is I'm gonna go to a map that I'm using on Saturday. It'll be the starting map, so it won't be too big of a deal. Again, I gotta wait for it to load, but that'll be a thing that I have to wait for everybody anyways. This is supposed to be a mount, not a prop. So there we go. There we go. That works. And then of course, tablet side. Ooh, that's have it refresh. So at this point, things don't move that. So it's not too bad. This is like a standard map size for me, and it's still a little iffy. Now, if I change this, to this is original, change the high, which is what size? 176, which saves very little. Go to medium. Okay, that's 130 is 0.31. Let's just see what happens with this. Let's see how much quality we lose. Quite a bit of quality. We lose a lot of quality. Now it probably moves pretty good. once it all loads up and has to stop, you know, loading to everybody. It moves pretty slick, but the map looks pretty average. Oh, it's still loading. That's its problem. Like on the tablet side, it's still loading. That's why it's not working quite right. On this side, it's not bad. Not great. It's still a little choppy. If I do it like this, it's gonna be choppy no matter what, I guess. And that's simply because I think, whoops, there goes my hat with my keys. I think it's simply because I'm doing the Discord section. If I turn off the Discord, do that, it's just so much better. It's just so much better. It's capturing it having to capture a window for whatever reason is just messing with it so much. And I don't understand why. Because the tablet, it moves nice and neat and smoothly. That's kind of annoying, honestly. I don't understand why it hurts it so much. It really shouldn't. Like if I turn off the alert box, does that help it? A little bit. If I turn off the chat, does that help it? It does help it a little bit if I turn off the chat. How much does it help if I turn off this? I just turn all the unnecessary stuff off. How much is that helping it? That's helping it a lot, actually. Does it still choppy if I grab it personally? It's still choppy a little bit, but it still works just fine. Hmm. I'm not quite sure. Because I don't want to have to roll to have to do it. It might be the only way though. I think that's gonna have to be I think it's just gonna have to be the case where the stream is just gonna see the player side. Because this is running so much smoother inherently also. If I set this back to its original, and then load it back in, which does take it a second, which is much higher res, obviously. But now that it's loaded in already, um, this is like already much better inherently on its own, and I can move the tokens, and the tokens move just fine. So I think for whatever reason, specifically me capturing Discord, like all these other things, is slowing it down just too much. Do this, and I mean everything other than the dice roller, and even the dice roller seems to be working just fine at that point. So, oops, didn't want to do that. So, I think if with the Discord overlay, and like with all for all the heads and just have it in there. I think that's just going to be the way to go because this seems to be as soon as I start adding all the extra bells and whistles, it starts coming apart. Although, what if I just did this and had capturing the Discord right now, and that was it for the dice rolling? That's perfectly fine. So if I get rid of the stream chat, it seems to be okay. What about the alert box? How much does that make it work? That does. That's all right. So I think if I add, so I think if we just do two or three things, and one of them is just the Discord, and then we have the table, people's character sheets, and obviously I have to have my notes and everything, but me moving around seems to be pretty smooth on this end, and I'm operating from my tablet here. So I think we're gonna be good. I think we're okay. I think we'll be able to make it work, and then Discord obviously will handle pretty much everything else from there. So I think we're set. All right. I think it's about time that we went and raided somebody. So we're gonna do that. We're just gonna go back to desktop capture here. We're gonna turn that back on. Hopefully it doesn't reset it too bad. Okay, good. Appears to be working just fine. I don't know what it is about. I guess it's the restream overlay that's really killing it. Because even the Discord overlay isn't really doing anything too bad. Because if I move all this around now, like it grows a little bit choppier, but my camera's turned back on. So I guess it's just trying to read too many things at once. I don't know. It's weird. If I go back to this, it appears to be working just fine the same. I don't know. It's weird. It's strange. I don't know. What if I turn it back on? How much does it hurt it? It's not. So I think it's just all the loading it has to do initially. And that's it. Because it appears to be working just fine now. Like it's choppy. Okay, it's starting to get a little choppy, but that's fine. I don't need it like to be perfectly smooth. That's okay. That's fine. It's chopping a little bit as I move the screen. What if I turn that and that off and then try to move? It's about the same. And if I turn off the alert box, that's about the same too. And then if I turn off the Discord, it's still the same. So I don't think that's ever going to be like solvable, and that's okay. All right, so we're just going to turn all these things back on because. And now it's a little bit less good, but it's also loading. Move you there. Gonna skip, isn't it? Yeah, it's starting to get a little choppy again. There we go. So once it's all loaded up, it's fine. It just needs to load up. It might be based on distance too. Yeah, it's a little bit based off of distance. But honestly, it seems to be working just fine once I let it all load up. So I think adding just the one little overlay at the end, and we're set. All right. Well that's encouraging and exciting. Also, this is with the camera on, so that's also good because I can deactivate that and get a little bit more power back on this end. So it may actually be working even better now, although it has to load everything up before it will work correctly. But it takes a second, and we just zoom out and over to where we need to be. Zoom back in. Yeah, this is good. This is fine. I just need to make sure I make note of like how far over I need to be aware of for this. I think it's right here, which is an easy thing for me to do. Is I am just gonna add a little sticky note to my screen right here. But there, and my wife moved the scissors on me again. But you are the only one that ever uses them, so. Did she have my scissors last? Okay. Oh, that's all right. I have a box cutter that I'll use to cut this piece of paper. There we go. Now I have an approximation of where on my screen it's no longer there. Good. And then, honestly, with the fact that I'm going to be trying to center everything anyways, it's not a big deal. So it'll be all nice and neat and clean. And it'll be all ready to go for next session, which will be Saturday at noon. Yes. Saturday noon? Yeah, Saturday noon. For us here. So, all right. We're going to move this over here. We're going to go to this. We're going to, oh, I'm also not on the desktop anymore. We're going to go desktop. There we go. Stop capturing this. Minimize that because we don't need it anymore. There we go. And then we're going to go to Twitch, and we're going to raid somebody. And we're going to actually it's back on. All right. Everything's dying, no doubt, because, well, I'm trying to load like 4 things at once. I'm trying to go to where I can raid someone. And obviously the lack of music is only deafening right now. Yeah. That's okay. I didn't say anything about singing, I said music. Is there a way to raid from your phone? I don't think there is. That's edit. Nope. There does not appear to be a way to do it from your phone. Which is strange that they haven't added that feature to the phone yet. But, you know. But, you know, whatever. Alright, come on. Work. Alright, we're just gonna close things that we don't need. We're gonna deactivate the camera. Thanks to you everyone that swung by. This is mostly for testing, so hopefully it'll be